guys, I'm just going to show you how to make some biscuits. So I've got some pre-measured all-purpose flour. You can use self-rising if you want to omit the baking powder part. Okay, so I've got all-purpose flour here in the bowl already measured out. And then I'm going to put in a tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, from here, we're going to mix the dry ingredients up. I use my little pastry cutter. You can use whatever you want to use to incorporate all the dry ingredients together. Okay. Then we're going to take some cold shortening, 1/3 of a cup. So some cold shortening, either cold shortening or cold butter. Do not put margarine in there because you'll have flat biscuits. So just use shortening or real butter. 1/3 of a cup, and you want to put that in the freezer about 10 minutes before you're about to make your biscuits. And that's because the cold shortening actually, helps the biscuits rise better, and keeping it cold is the key. Okay. Then you want to take your pastry cutter, or if you have, you can use a fork, you can use 2 butter knives, whatever you want to use to cut in the shortening. But since I got a pastry cutter, I'm going to use this. So I'm going to put a little of the shortening on top of the flour on top of the shortening. That way it's not sticking to what you're using to cut the shortening in. Okay. Then you just want to start mashing the shortening into the flour. Basically, we're cutting it in there. And you just want to keep cutting it in there. It takes it's a little bit of a process. But it's not extremely hard. But you keep cutting in the shortening. And you may have to scrape it off your knife or whatever you're using. Keep adding it in there. So what we're looking for is like a grainy consistency. It kind of reminds you of like cornmeal. It has like pea-size shaped lumps of flour. And then once we get to that, we're ready to add in our milk. Okay. Then to this mixture, we're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of milk. I have buttermilk, and I have it measured out to actually almost a cup. But that's only because if I want extra milk, I have it. So, but you want to use 3/4 of a cup because sometimes you may need to use it. So, I'm going to add in most of my milk. And by the way, buttermilk actually works better. I'm not entirely sure why, but it does. I'm guessing because it reacts with the baking powder and stuff. But yeah, you can use whole milk, you know, any kind of milk. But just start mixing it together. And you want the biscuit dough to be very sticky. So if there's a lot of dry flour that's not getting incorporated, add in your extra milk. So, I mean, I guess in a way it would take like up to a cup, basically, for a full measure. But you don't want dry biscuit dough. It's going to be sticky and it's going to be a wet dough. That is normal. Just incorporate all the flour until it's all mixed in with the dough. Okay. All right. Okay, from here, we want to flour out our counter. Flour out your rolling pin. Because you don't want the flour. You don't want the flour to stick to the rolling pin. Okay? So just take out your biscuit dough and turn it out onto the counter. I'm being a little messy today with everything. Just make sure you got all your dough out of your bowl. Then you want to take a little bit more flour and put on the top of your dough. So your hands and it's not sticking to it. But the trick is you want to be really gentle with the dough. Okay, you want to be really, really gentle with the dough because you don't want them hard biscuits. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the biscuit over like this and pat it down. And then turn it around, pat it out. Flip it again. Turn it around. Pat it out. Flip it again. Turn it around. Pat it out. And flip it again. You want to keep doing this about 10 times. And what this is doing is adding layer to your biscuits. That way when it cooks up, it's going to have all these buttery layers. Okay, so we're ready to roll it out. And I'm just going to take my rolling pin and kind of roll it out. Now, if you're wanting really thin biscuits, you want to roll it out thin. If you want thick biscuits, you're going to roll it out thick. Okay. Excuse my voice, everyone, because I'm having to deal with allergies and sinus issues. So, okay. And to cut out your biscuits, you can use a cup, you can use a biscuit cutter. I mean, you can use anything you want to use. I use a glass because that's just what works best for me. I mean, and it's something that everybody has. So you want to get the rim of your glass floury, and then just start cutting out your dough, cutting out your biscuits. And then from here, I forgot to tell you guys that you preheat the oven to 425, and then you want to grease your pan. I use a little round pan because when the biscuits are pushed together, they rise more. So that is why I use a round pan. Okay, so we got our cut biscuits, and I'm going to put a little of the flour on the top of them. And then start putting them into our pan. And you've got perfect, thick, beautiful biscuits. Now, when you're rolling them out thick, you're not going to have a whole, you're not going to have a ton of biscuits. If you're planning on making these big, beautiful biscuits for a lot of people, you're going to need more than one batch. But since it's just me and Bradley here, I only do one batch. But you can get more biscuits out of it if you roll it out thinner. But I just wanted some thick biscuits. Okay. And then you're probably going to have to take your dough scraps and work it back out into a bowl, and so you have extra biscuits to cut out. Make it just a little bit thicker. Okay, and then after cutting out my biscuits, I only have this little piece left, and that's usually what happens when you make biscuits. You always end up with a little piece you don't know what to do with. But, it's not enough to make a big biscuit to add in, so I'm just not going to worry about it. So, here is our cut out biscuits in my little pan. And from here, After your oven is warmed up from 425, you want to take a little melted butter and put it on the tops of them before you put them in the oven. And then when you get them out of the oven, you put brush a little butter on the top of them again. This just helps to, the butter helps to brown the biscuits in the oven. And I found that they cook better and they don't get burned or nothing on the bottom if you take the rag and you put it on the very top. The most top, the tallest one top in your oven. And, yeah, and then the butter at the end of the biscuits after they're already cooked, that's just to add a little extra to it, but you don't have to do that. So from here, we'll take our butter and brush them on top, and then we'll bake them at 425 for about 15 minutes until the tops are golden brown. And then once they're done, I'll show you all what it turned out like. Thanks. Okay guys, I'm back with my finished biscuits, and I think they turned out amazing. I got them out a little bit late, but that's where the darker parts of the biscuits, but that was my mistake. You see how beautiful and tall these biscuits are. I mean, they're going to be amazing with my apple butter that I just made the other day. So, I really hope that you guys could learn from my video, and I really hope that you all will like my videos, and I'll do more. So, thanks guys.